Welcome to this week's episode of Financially Speaking. As a local family-built firm, Buska Retirement Solutions, along with its affiliate companies Buska Wealth Management and Legacy Tax Solutions, offer one-stop retirement, tax, and legacy planning services to families nearing or already enjoying retirement. Sue Buska is president of Buska Retirement Solutions, a retirement planning company helping develop financial, Medicare, and health insurance strategies. Over a decade ago, she partnered with her son, Cole Bruner. Cole, an investment advisor representative that's held to a fiduciary duty, is president of Buska Wealth Management, a fee-based registered investment advisory firm providing financial planning and investment management for individuals and businesses. Legacy Tax Solutions offers personal and business tax planning and preparation services. Their enrolled agent, Carl Van Setters, is a military veteran with over 10 years of accounting experience and is committed to maximizing your tax credits wherever possible. Over the last several years, Sue and Cole have continued to grow their team of private wealth advisors to meet the increasing demand of retirees seeking guidance. In 2018, Ryan Connor began serving clients at their Eau Claire location. At their Wausau location, Logan Wooler became a part of the team in 2020. And in 2023, Sue's daughter Kaylee Berenson joined the firm. As a family-built firm with offices in Wausau and Eau Claire, their dedicated team of professionals have the experience to provide custom-tailored strategies to help you achieve your long-term financial goals. The next 30 minutes will be filled with retirement information presented by their team in a simple manner that you can understand. So stay tuned because Financially Speaking starts right now.
Today we are going to be talking about some questions that our viewers have around mitigating market risk.
Today we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked but crucial for your financial well-being: how to conquer retirement fears.
Today, Cole and I are going to talk about the top states to move to when you retire or when you need a place to escape the colder months.
And now for our weekly question and answer segment.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking. Today I'm here with Cole and Logan from Buska Retirement Solutions and Buska Wealth Management. We're going to be talking about planning for retirement, but we'd love to answer some of your questions in the future. So please email us at info@retirewithbuska.com. All right, Cole and Logan, today we are going to be talking about some questions that our viewers have around mitigating market risk.
Sure.
So Logan, I'm going to start with you. How can a fixed indexed annuity help mitigate market risk?
Yeah, so when it comes to fixed indexed annuities, they're a product designed to really accomplish three things. The first, as we move into retirement, we've worked hard to have that money built up and have that nest egg, so we want to start to protect it. We want to preserve and protect, right? But in the same token, we want to be able to have some access to it and then also see some growth. So the way those fixed index annuities work is they're putting that lump sum of money or protection on that principal balance, but still allowing you to participate in that market fluctuation and taking on the gains, but not realizing the losses.
Right.
And that's where I'd recommend to come in and sit down with a financial services professional just to go more into detail on how that actually works, because that does sound a little bit too good to be true.
Oh yeah, we hear that often. Yep.
So really understanding the breakdown of how that fixed index annuity works compared to other products that may be similar or other annuities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the intrigue of a fixed indexed annuity is the fact that you can't lose your principal if the market goes down, but as market performance grows, you can generate returns based on a percentage of that performance into the future. And every product works a little different, and there's obviously hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of options out there. We always say an annuity is no different than any other financial tool. There's good ones, there's bad ones, there's people that should have them and people that shouldn't have them, and it's just that simple. Work with a qualified financial professional, someone who's independent, who can really help you to dig in deeper on that topic to see, one, is it a possible contender for something that you could be considering? And two, if so, which one is the best possible vehicle for you?
And that's a great way to mitigate market risk, but let's talk about when might it make sense for someone to take on more risk in the market?
Well, I think the biggest thing to bear in mind is the amount of risk that you should be taking in the market should be directly based on your personal risk tolerance as well as your time horizon. If you're a really young investor, you should absolutely take risk in your portfolio because you've got time on your side. Even if you might not be super comfortable with fluctuations, the reminder that we don't need those funds for the next 10, 20, 30 years is a good way to help to mitigate some of that emotional response when the market goes down. I've got time to make up these losses. The closer we get to retirement, the less time we have to make up for those losses. So the more important it is for us to be scaling back on the amount of risk that we have. So the easiest way to determine that is to complete our color of money risk analysis. It's right on the website. It takes 5 minutes or less. And at the end of that process, you'll understand what percentage of your portfolio you should have subject to risk. And that's a really good place to begin that conversation with a financial professional to determine then of that portion that should be in at-risk investments, what kind of risk should we be taking? What types of investments should we be investing in to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best opportunity for growth?
And when is an example of when I should shift my strategy to a less market risk exposure?
Yes, so when the market's going down, we definitely want to possibly move some things around and change them. Again, going back to the timeline that you have, that time horizon, your age and all that. But as we move closer to retirement, that's one of the biggest reasons to start to look into those lower risk type of products because we don't have that time on our side.
Yeah.
You know, and we may not be having that big income stream coming in anymore. So we want to preserve and protect what we have.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's a lot of variables go into that, but I would say that typically when you're getting closer to retirement.
Yeah, we always say the closer you get to retirement, the more important it is for you to be acutely aware of what your risk tolerance is and make sure that your allocation matches your current risk tolerance, which is very easy to overlook. A lot of people don't think about that. And often we don't think to look at our portfolio until something bad happens, right? And that's usually the catalyst for people to go, oh, maybe I should look at how much risk I should have in my portfolio. When the market's doing well, we don't think about it because we're making money, we're seeing growth in our portfolio, we're enjoying that growth and watching it go up. And then all of a sudden we hit a market downturn like a 2022 and we go, oh gosh, maybe I should have changed that in advance. So we always say it should be the opposite. It should be when the market is performing really favorably, that we take an opportunity to take a step back, take a look at our risk tolerance, see how that matches up with our current allocations in our portfolio. And if changes should be made, we always want to make them when the market is at a high, right? Not when things go down.
Now you've mentioned time on your side. So if I lose money in the market, how much time does it really take to make up those losses?
We get that question quite often, and I hate to say it, but it depends, right? Now, there are certain rules of thumbs that different advisors will say and things like that, but it really depends on how much time you have and how that market's performing. Is it performing at a 5% growth rate, a 10%? Because that's going to dictate, the growth that's going to help you catch back up.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, it depends on the environment that you're in. Look at the flash crash of 2020 when COVID hit. The market went down over a course of a 3-month time period, and within the next few months, it was right back up. So that was what they call V-shaped recovery, right? Sharp down, sharp right back up again. But then we have things like 2008, where very U-shaped recovery. It was a much longer time frame for the market to get back up. And that was around 5 years for the S&P 500 to fully recover from the downturn of 2008. So you never really know how long the market's going to go down and how long it's going to take for you to recover, because we could also find ourselves in a situation where the market goes down for more than 1 year in a row. Look at the early 2000s as a prime example. The early 2000s, the market went down 3 consecutive years in a row. That obviously could be really damaging to our portfolio if we don't have the right allocation, if we don't have enough money in safety. All of those different things are incredibly important and become more important when the market is going down. So I think being prepared for multiple years of downturn in the market, we always say, a minimum of 5 to 7 years should be your plan of how much money you have in green to get you through that downturn in the market before we start digging into the at-risk portion of the portfolio for withdrawals again.
Great. Well, thank you both for talking to me about mitigating market risk today.
Of course.
And thank you for joining Financially Speaking. We'll be back with more right after this.
Close your eyes and picture retirement for a moment. What does your dream look like? Would your days be filled spending time with family and friends? Maybe you desire to volunteer or work a rewarding part-time job. Or do you envision traveling the world? Whatever your dream consists of, Buska Retirement Solutions can help you realize it. Call or go online to schedule a complimentary consultation today.
And now, our Financially Speaking weekly topic segment.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking. I'm Kaylee Berenson from Buska Retirement Solutions and Buska Wealth Management. Today, we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked but crucial for your financial well-being: how to conquer retirement fears. U.S. News and World Report, a trusted source for financial advice, published an insightful article in 2020 titled Common Retirement Financial Fears and How to Overcome Them. Despite the year, the concerns it addresses and the strategies it suggests remain as relevant as ever. As it depicted in popular culture and advertising, looking ahead to retirement is a time of great excitement and optimism. After all, if you're in your 60s, you've likely been going to work every day for 40 years or more. So retirement means you can spend your time doing whatever you've always wanted to. While that depiction of retirement is true in many ways, it's also true that those final years and months before retirement can be a source of anxiety for many people. The ads tell us they're living the good life, but don't show how much sweat, work, and worry went into reaching that picture-perfect retirement. Getting yourself to the retirement that you've always wanted does take a lot of work, and there will be moments of doubt and worry. But here's the thing, doubt and worry are both perfectly natural. Here are a few of the common fears that were highlighted in the recent article. The first common financial retirement fear is simply running out of money. Now, on the surface, that sounds obvious, and to a degree it is, but it's not easy to determine how much money you're likely to need in retirement without any real certainty. One effective way to alleviate this fear is to partner with an experienced financial services professional. They can provide a calm and confident voice, addressing your concerns and answering your questions. Their expertise can help you gain a clearer understanding of your financial needs in retirement. In addition, a software program can help you make calculations and show you how much you need to save as you progress towards retirement. Perhaps most importantly, a software program may help you find places where you can comfortably reduce your expenses after retirement to make it more likely that your money sees it through. A second fear you can overcome on your journey is the fear of inflation cutting into your nest egg. It's true that, because of inflation, the money that you've saved for retirement doesn't have much purchasing power. And if inflation were to go up rapidly, for whatever reason, it could imperil your preferred retirement style. Those changes could be small, but not being able to eat out or travel as often, or they could be more significant depending on how much you've saved. Next, you may have the fear of what will happen to your budget if your adult children move back in with you. While you may welcome their company, you may worry that higher utility and grocery bills will take a bite out of your carefully planned budget. But there are solutions that can lead to better outcomes for you and your kids. Before your kids show up at the door with their moving boxes, you may want to make a plan where they agree to cover their expenses and contribute to an account for the household expenses, as well as a savings account. You may also want to have a conversation with your kids about their debt. Can they pay off their student loans or other debt by a certain date? Lastly, consider asking them to plan an exit date by which they will move out and create a strategy for achieving that goal. Another common fear is Social Security at the wrong time. While some people have good reasons to take Social Security earlier, they may also worry that they'll regret leaving money on the table. A financial services professional can go over it with you and help you see how your benefit can change depending on when you file and help you determine when to file based on what's going on in your life. Finally, concerns about high healthcare costs are very common. It's no revelation that healthcare is expensive, and there's no reason to believe it won't keep getting more expensive. So many near retirees are sweating the details of their own coverage. But there are things that you can do to help you prepare. One option may be opening a health savings account, more commonly called an HSA. Not only will this kind of account allow you to cover medical costs, but it may also provide general tax savings. You should note, however, that once you turn 65 and you enroll in Medicare, you'll no longer be able to fund an HSA. You want the months and years leading into retirement to be exciting, not stressful. Working with a financial services professional to identify ways to build on your retirement strategy may help. If you'd like to discuss your retirement and overall financial strategy, contact our office today at retirewithbuska.com or call 715-355-4445. We'll be right back with more of Financially Speaking after this.
Have you heard the term fiduciary before? According to Investopedia.com, being a fiduciary means being legally bound to put your client's best interest ahead of your own. Did you know that investment advisors have a fiduciary duty to clients, but broker-dealers just have to meet the less stringent suitability standard, which doesn't require putting their client's best interest ahead of their own? At Buska Wealth Management, all of our advisors are fiduciaries to provide our clients more peace of mind. Call us today or go online to schedule your complimentary review.
And now our Financially Speaking weekly desk segment.
Welcome back to Financially Speaking. I'm Sue Buska from Buska Retirement Solutions, and joining me today is my son, Cole Bruner. And today, Cole and I are going to talk about the top states to move to when you retire or when you need a place to escape the colder months.
That's right. AARP's article titled Top 5 States Where Retirees Are Moving lists the best locales for retirees and snowbirds, and number 3 is a pretty big surprise.
Yeah, that one is a surprise. We'll save that one for last.
If we do it last, then it will be out of order, though.
Well, order is overrated, Cole.
That is true. Now, it will be way more dramatic that way, I suppose.
Yeah. First, let's talk a bit about why people are moving more now.
The article notes that the housing market is cooling off in some places and that inflation has gone down, which can make moving to a new state a little less financially onerous.
Well, that's a really good point, and moving to a new location with a lower cost of living can be a good retirement strategy. But high upfront costs can make moving less attractive. So it makes sense that more favorable economic factors are spurring more seniors to pack up and cross state lines.
Interestingly enough, fewer seniors are citing cheaper housing as a reason to move. In 2022, 12% of seniors surveyed said that they were moving for less expensive housing, but that number went down by half in 2023, actually.
Well, that's right, and people are more likely to move for health or family-related issues.
Now, speaking of healthcare, I like that the article notes that you have to consider the local healthcare infrastructure before you move. You may find a very cheap place to live, but if it's miles away from the nearest hospital, consider what problem that might be.
That's right, and senior citizens often need more medical care. Now, being very far away from it may only cause more problems, and the trade-off may be too big to make that cheaper piece of land worthwhile.
That's right. Now, according to the article, people who can afford to do so are retiring earlier.
And afford is the operative word there.
Absolutely, it sure is. In 2023, 37% of people who relocated for retirement were younger than 65, compared to 26% in 2022. The median income for retirees who moved to new states was more than $88,000.
And early retirement could be quite doable at that income level. Now, of course, you should discuss that with a financial services professional before you make any big decisions.
That's absolutely right. Now, the article noted that many people retired between ages 59 and 62, citing the COVID-19 pandemic and a feeling that life is just too short.
And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely. It's not surprising that the pandemic would make people rethink their priorities and maybe decide to start living their retirement and travel dreams a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and right, moving on, let's tell the audience which state topped the list for inbound moves.
Well, no surprises here. It was Florida.
Well, Florida's always been popular with retirees, and many people still dream of spending their golden years in a warm place where snow is extremely rare.
Florida actually accounted for 11.1% of inbound moves. A close second was South Carolina, which made up 10% of the inbound moves.
And Palmetto State, nice warm weather there too.
It's also a pretty great place for golf. Plus, it's a good alternative to Florida for retirees who want to buy a home for a little less money. According to the article, the median home price in South Carolina was $287,000, compared to $391,000 in Florida.
That's inland South Carolina, right? Now, I have a hunch that houses in the coastal area cost a lot more.
Well, the article doesn't state that difference specifically.
Well, all right, moving on. What was number 3?
Well, that one was a little surprising. The one that we're saving until the end, remember?
Oh, yes. What was number 4 then?
Well, number 4 was Texas, which made up for 5.8% of inbound moves in 2023.
Well, that's another place where people are finding cheaper housing.
That's right. Washington State was last on the list, accounting for 5.3% of inbound moves by retirees.
All right, let's end the suspense and tell the audience which state was the big surprise.
Can we ask for a drum roll?
No.
Fine, be that way. The number 3 state for inbound retirees was New Jersey.
New Jersey, really?
Yes, really. New Jersey has some of the highest property and income taxes in the nation. So that's why this one was pretty big surprise.
It doesn't have Florida or South Carolina weather, though.
No, absolutely not. And here's the kicker. Retirees in New Jersey do indeed move to places like Florida, Texas, and South Carolina.
So, who's moving to New Jersey?
Well, people from New York, actually.
That makes sense.
Now, before we sign off, we should talk about some other ways to reduce housing costs during retirement.
Well, that's a good idea, Cole, and moving to a state with a lower cost of living is just one way to make housing less expensive during your golden years.
That's right, and an article in the U.S. News and World Report entitled 10 Ways to Reduce Your Housing Costs in Retirement lists some ways that you can make your housing payments smaller and make your nest egg last a little longer.
And paying off your mortgage before you leave the workforce, it can be a great way to make your retirement income and savings go a lot further.
That's right, and naturally you'll still have to cover home maintenance, costs, and obviously taxes and insurance, but not having that big house payment in your budget every month can free you up quite a bit.
Well, next on the list is downsizing. You can still save money without leaving your state if you move to something a little bit smaller with a more manageable cost.
Next, see if you can find a way to get a break on your property taxes. In some areas, seniors above a certain age can qualify for certain property tax discounts.
And it may be well worth contacting your tax professional to ask about that one.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Now, next on the article's list is becoming a renter. Now, as a renter, you won't be on the hook for costs of maintenance or repairs, and selling your house can free up a lot of cash.
And the downside of renting, though, is that you may have to pay increases that are tough to absorb, or the property owner may decide, for whatever reason, not to renew your lease. And being forced to move for those reasons like that can be really tough on retirees.
Most definitely. Now, the article next mentions reverse mortgage. Now, you'll definitely want to talk to a financial services professional before you take this step. Don't you think so?
Yes, absolutely. And with a reverse mortgage, you tap into your home equity to cover your living expenses. And it may sound good, but in the simplest terms, it's a loan. And you'll have to pay it back if you sell the house. Moreover, your children will have to pay off the loan before they can even inherit the house.
Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and we'd really prefer that our clients contact us before taking on a reverse mortgage so that we can really weigh those pros and cons and reach a thoroughly considered decision together.
Okay, so next on the list is an idea that might not be popular with a lot of people, but here goes. Move in with your children.
I can already hear the audience gasping.
Like I said, not everyone will love that idea, but think of it this way. As a grandparent, you can help get the kids off to school. In exchange, your children provide elder care. Now, sure, it might not always be easy, but it can reduce expenses for everyone.
We'll talk to Kaylee about that one.
Yeah.
Opening your house up to roommates can be a good idea too.
I like that. It's very Golden Girls.
Yes, definitely. And it can be a good way to save money and to make sure that you have some company, which is very important as we get older too.
And last on the list is to sell some of your stuff to free up some cash. Most of us accumulate a lot of stuff over the course of our lives, and odds are you have quite a few things that you could let go of.
Well, that's a great point, Mom. And if you're planning to downsize or move and you've got a workbench full of power tools that you won't be using, trading those for cash can potentially help you fund your new life.
And that's about all the time we have for this segment. So if you're thinking about moving in retirement and would like to review the pros and cons of your particular situation, contact our office today at retirewithbuska.com or call 715-355-4445. We'll be right back with more of Financially Speaking after this.
Are you ready to make your retirement planning more stress-free? I'm Cole Bruner from Buska Retirement Solutions, Buska Wealth Management, and Legacy Tax Solutions. Between our three companies, there's a lot we can do to make securing your future easier. By creating a comprehensive retirement plan that incorporates retirement income solutions, investment management, estate planning, tax strategies, as well as health insurance and Medicare planning, you can retire with more confidence and peace of mind. Call us today or go online to schedule your complimentary review.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Financially Speaking. We're glad you were able to join us today, and we hope you learned some useful retirement tips along the way.
On today's show, we covered a number of important topics, and hopefully we did so in a manner that was easy for you to understand. This is the same way that we communicate to our clients when we meet with them in person. Remember, with the help of the right financial services professional, you can create a quality retirement, and our team is here to help. Right now may be a great time to get a second opinion on your current retirement plan. So call us at 715-355-4445 or go to retirewithbuska.com to continue your retirement education, catch up on some previous episodes of our TV and radio show, or to schedule that complimentary, no-obligation consultation.
If you have any questions or comments about today's show, call us at 715-355-4445, or feel free to send us an email at info@retirewithbuska.com. Join us next week at the same time and same place for another episode of Financially Speaking.